or South America or other parts of Asia can find these compressors, can find the creation of triggering the life within the system of the generator. The new solid state, totally plasmatic system allows anyone to reach the position. The whole target is to show energy can be produced without fuel, and we have achieved it. In so many ways, we have achieved more last night than we achieved over past year. In bringing awareness to a number of people who are key players in the world politics. At the last 10 minutes, we received the message we were and how we've been heard. These things are important. It's important for what we do, where we're going, and how we intend to use our work, how we intend to proceed with development. We were online nearly 10 hours last night, altogether, the session in 2 sessions, and then carrying on with the other session in another part of Washington. I would like to thank Douglas for his sincerity and his work. He has put a lot in, and as a man of army, he could easily carry the message to the army. And hopefully, what the American Army has put on the table as acting officer on duty when the proposal was made, will respond the same to the American Army and to the other armies around the world. We have to make army of peace, not army of war. And that's the only choice we have, and the only chance we have as an organization which not only has the power, the knowledge, but it has the determination to achieve peace through the technology. I thank all of you in the background. It was not easy to set up. I thank our attorneys in Washington who put a lot of effort to the session last night. The last night's session was not so much about the numbers, but was the quality of the listeners in the background. And those who were listening gave instructions, and we respect your instructions. And my offer, my foundation accepts the offer you have made to us. Leadership needs wisdom, and the wisdom comes from sincerity and commitment. In respect to our work and the generator, I have seen a lot of work going on, even us in Rome, in Philippines, and 2 other places are heavily testing, heavily developing, testing at every aspect of the technology. If you have seen the blueprint and you are working on it, please understand the system can have, depending on the phase and the frequency of your setup, 2 different ways to start it off. If you use fish tank pumps, which we use as a trigger point, you have to understand what is the outlet of your fish tank. It's not just that you have a fish tank pump will start the procedure. The output of these systems is usually about 110. If you operate in the countries where it's 220, you will find problems because you cannot achieve the current and the voltage. So you have to change to a system which brings, be careful with the word I use, a magnetic flow current of 220. Signal generators do not give such opportunity. The small power units do not give this opportunity. The reason the batteries work, 612 volt battery works, because you have to go to understand the structure of the current flow in these systems. They have both AC and DC. And a conversion from AC to DC creates electromagnetic flow within the pump, which they start, which matches the condition of exciting the plasma to the, what I call the beat, the heartbeat of the plasma. When you use signal generators, this magnetic field flow is missing. The current flow from the battery into the winding of the pump in interaction both with AC and DC from the battery creates a specific kind of gravitational magnetic field plasmatic flow which matches the plasma flow within the coils that you have. This is extremely important to understand why certain systems work, why certain systems don't. When you use a generator, you create more or less the same condition as using a battery. The structure is not the same, but can reach a certain speed to create the interaction. You have to understand why, for example, Douglas's system responds in that order, because it's a combination system, not single system. On the other hand, if you have system which can release 220 and the phase, you have to understand you need a system in your capacitor mode compressors and a compressor that always there is a delay in reaction, that delay in reaction creates the pulseful release of plasma. If you look in the drawing, we have a capacitance in the red compressor. For this capacitor to be charged and discharged creates that delay that the two motors cannot synchronize, but in not synchronizing create the heartbeat or the pumping that allows the field from the stacker coils to be released. A number of people have noticed and they have told me the setting of the plasma capacitor is wrong, is negative to negative of the magnetic gravitational system, MAGRAV system. It's not wrong. I was told the same. I looked at it, but our innovation center confirms this is correct because they are set as parallel. So the two negatives are the same and two positives are the same. And in fact, when you connect, when you start the system off, you receive against all the works of the physics, two positive, each one of it is negative at your load. This is a strange setup, but you're dealing with plasma. You have to close the loop of the plasma. As we said, for example, in the structure of the planet, it's the same field going from the south coming to the north. So in that flow of the fields from the MAGRAV to the capacitor system, you can drain whatever you like. All the load become more or less as part of the circuit. There is a very clear structure in this setup. It's a plasmatic setup, not a current flow electron vibration, or what we call the present electric circuits. Those of you who are trying, and hopefully within coming hours or days will report how you've been creating energy, please be careful. This is a plasmatic current. You can use this current at the point of plug literally for anything you need. If you can connect or develop a plug system that is totally nano-based than current-based matter state, you will find out you will achieve huge works. At the moment at your plug, you are plugging from the totally nano-coated plasma circuit in a totally matter state circuit. There has to be a step down and loss of energy. If you could understand and set up and build new ways of connection, as the plug load section, you can directly convert the plasma energy from the energy system generator into anything you like. You have to keep the circuitry in the same process. You cannot connect the load end of your system into a matter state and then try to get plasma from it. Maybe you have to develop two systems parallel. One maglev system, plug system, and one matter state plug system, which this allows you to operate both at the current use of materials which you have, fridge, freezers, or whatever, and the new cycle of materials which we create, like creation of matters, creation of food. You don't need to convert till the point to what you want to convert the system to. The expansion of the knowledge comes very, very much with understanding the knowledge fully. What this allows you to do is very simple. Can you please allow me to be able to use the option to draw on the drawing, please? I don't want to share a screen. I want to use the same picture, but be able to use to show things on it.
Okay, then you just need to select the annotate. Is that what you mean?
I did. I didn't have an option. It didn't give me an option to use it. I have to go to full screen. Okay. Can you put the picture back up, please?
Okay.
Okay. What this means is, in this part of the circuit, you have to create a secondary line. You have to create a secondary line and a new plug system where these two systems run very similar and parallel to each other. With this system, you will be able to create a condition where you actually tap directly into the lines. And in this system, you only achieve, oh my God, what is the problem? In this system, you only use for matter state usage. In this system, you use for plasma usage. Plasma is very flexible. So you need to create two plugs. You cannot carry on because you step down and then you have to step up. In this section, you directly go into plasma. You can connect this into a plasmatic, for example, food production. You connect it directly for lift. You connect it directly for production of materials. It's the same, but we have to understand now we have entered a different world. As I said, we use the matter state to create controllable plasma. When you create a matter state energy to control the plasma, you have a lot of flexibilities. These two units can run parallel with each other, and those who come to understand this will enjoy working with this system beyond imagination. Because the things you can achieve in this new system gives you a freer hand, stronger fields, and very much a universal condition conversion. For example, as I said, as we saw, with the people who are producing materials from fresh air, if you connect your motors to this one, and you connect your motors to this one, you will see totally two different responses in production of the material. Here is just rotation and plus what's in there. Here is the energy supplied plus what is in here, because it's the same, they link up at the same power. You find out, instead of waiting for a day to create a kilo of gold, you stand for about 10 minutes because you don't go through conversion. Those of you who are on the development side and you go very fast with these things have to understand this. Our Chinese friends are very good at understanding these things because they understand yin and yang. For people in the West, it's very hard to see this. You can use these plasma units for cancer with the immediate result. The possibilities of using this technology is beyond your imagination. Whatever we have at the present world time in science and technology, if you can develop the parallel of it in plasma, you will see what the difference will make. If your cooking time is 1 hour, use plasma microwave, give you 2 minutes, but with much better result. Because you work and the meat is in the plasma condition, so receives the energy directly. The structure of the tools we have from now on changes. I've been waiting to release this technology of the plasma energy for years. Now it's on the table. I worked with it for many years and it's so beautiful. And when I said, you see this, now that you start understanding that you have access to plasma energy, you will see the same. Your lift machines, your maggraph systems, your star formations, nano coat your system and connect it to the system on the plasma side. I will see you in Washington in no time. Because you got to understand something very interesting. When you create lift and motion through the energy of the plasma, like here, your system is totally plasmatic. It will respond to the Earth gravitational magnetic field of the Earth, which is plasmatic, immediately. This circuit, as I said, was the missing piece in the structure of the Keshe Foundation work for a long time. And I told you, I have kept the golden key. This is one of the nudges on that key. Without it, you cannot move. From now on, we'll create and we will see 2 lines of scientists. Those who are matter state scientists, those who are gravitational magnetic or plasmatic scientists. None are wrong, but each one has to understand which way they feel comfortable with. With the matter state scientists, we leave them behind because for them to comprehend the plasma work in the universe is more or less beyond their education. In a way, they educated themselves, but they accepted the limitation. This is what I want to be. It's very much like going to the medical school and just wanting to be somebody who understands the medicine, or you want to become general practitioner, or you want to become a heart surgeon. The body is the same. It's you who decides which end of it you want to work with. We have to enlighten you. We have to give you the seed of thoughts that with it, you bring the tools of the action as you've done up to now. This has been my job in the past 2 years. I've done enough research and development. That's why I can tell you where you can go. But I enlighten you. I give you the knowledge, and those of you who understand, grab it and practice it or try it in the part which you understood. I have to enlighten 7 billion people. So I have to have 7 billion different ways of doing it, that all of you have something to do and be proud that you are part of it. Try not to criticize each other, but respect in what section you work. If you're a heart surgeon, you can't tell to the brain specialist your work is useless, because without his brain your heart cannot work, and without your heart his brain cannot work, so you have no patience and you have nothing to work with. This is the same. You have to decide and respect each other's knowledge in the field which you have become a specialist or would like to be a specialist. And understand, we have to open a new language, new dictionary of science, that we were nuclear physicists, we became atomic physicists, we became physicists, we became astrophysicists, and we all respect each other because we say which part of the knowledge we have devoted our life to. Now we have magritte plasma physicists, and we have matter state physicists. And these two categories has to be very, very clear, because what you see in the matter state looks ridiculous in the plasma state, and in the plasma state you can achieve the matter state very easily, because you work from deeper inside. This is what I've explained, and I'll repeat myself, if for those of you who understand it. As I said in the talk yesterday and in other teachings, we started with the wood. We went to the atom of the wood. We understood more. We went to the nucleus of the wood. And now we've gone inside the nucleus, inside the components of the nucleus, and we understand how the packages of the energy in that, what we call proton, neutron, electron, interact and work internally and in respect to each other externally. This is the new knowledge. So if we have gone from burning wood, a big piece of matter, to a few atoms that can create and run power stations and create the same kind of heat, it has been gaining the knowledge of the man. And now with the plasma, we're going deeper, we achieve and reach much stronger fields. Otherwise, the plasma you work with is still part of the block of wood. It's us who has to decide which part and respect each other. You will find a lot of scientists who work in the nuclear, in atomic, in wood and matter, will criticize you because they are not prepared to go a step down to understand more. And you who understood more, it shows them they are not in that level, so they have to. And they've had a field day for it for years. The commitment is very simple. We have to commit ourselves to one direction, and that's peace. Does not matter if we burn wood or we use the plasma. We tried wood, we didn't get very far. We tried nuclear, we destroyed each other beyond imagination, and we used it as a tool of threat. With plasma, you cannot do any damage because it finds its balance and it's the best choice for any application. Please understand the diagram and the generator which is in front of you. Do not get eluded by the matter state energy which produces. Rejoice the power you have found out recently, which is the plasma energy which produces at the same time. You can achieve more. If you take the plasma option, you still can do the same with the matter state, because somewhere at the end of the lane, when you chose the plasma and you want to use it, you have to bring it in a matter state that you as a matter state entity can respect and understand its application and implication. So when you're putting this system together, when you make your generators, you have to understand this is a plasmatic generator. It can always become lower, but itself has a huge power. We found the power of nuclear when we broke the atom up. Now we have broken the nucleus. We've broken the entities of the nucleus, and we've seen how more powerful from atom to nuclear we become. Now you can imagine how much more power is there from nuclear to plasma. The plasma has to reduce enough in the strength that it can manifest itself as the energy ball, what you call the neutron or proton or electron or a star or the sun. So it has enough and it has to reduce so much to become at that strength. So now we are going to the center, to the mother. These are little knowledges from those who understand it, can apply it. We will see new instruments, new technologies, and new facilities to make life easier for man. I have a recommendation to the governments who are highly evolved into the nuclear industry. This goes especially for the French and Swiss. Understand the work of these plasma reactors and create cocoons that you can hold the structure of nuclear power stations within this cocoon as one plasma. In coming time, if you do not do so, you have to dismantle every structure which your countries cannot afford. You enjoyed the power of nuclear. Now you have to understand that the plasma technology is on the market and is on the table. You can use it to contain the nuclear. If the Japanese would have collaborated with us with Fukushima, they would have taken a very small reactor to contain the whole of 4 reactors in Fukushima with less than $100. Containment within the structure of the plasmatic condition. No water would have flown into the reactors, and the reactors could have done whatever they like, because now they are within structure of a shield system. You can allow the reactors to run away and melt down, because they melt down within a cocoon you have created and will not affect the operation of this planet or contaminated any water. This was the biggest mistake with the Japanese government betraying the Keshe Foundation. You were happy with the crumbs, we offered you the full loaf. This is what you will understand very soon. This is what you have to understand very soon. This is what you do not have a choice if you go to space. You travel to the point of the destination, and at that point of destination, you decide how you want to manifest yourself. You're a sightseer. If it's liquid, would you like to submerge? Or if it is gas, you like to float in it. You don't need to change aircraft. You don't need different engines for different jobs. All you need to do is to transfer the energy at the strength of the environment that it can interact with and leave residual and existence. Those of you who will understand the teaching of past 30 minutes, I have given you the secret to the wisdom of traveling to space and existence in space. Those of you who are materialistic and happy with your energy, that you can have a cheaper energy, you still have your rights, but you still will follow for years to come to achieve for those who understood. Are there any questions that we can answer, and then we go into seeing what other people are developing and where we are and what problems you have with your plasma generators?
We have a viewer, Bernard, got his hand up. Maybe we can hear from him. Hi, Bernard.
Hi, how are you doing today?
Good.
We cannot hear you.
Oh, I'm sorry. My computer's taking this long, so can you hear me now?
You got to speak louder.
Okay. All right. Can you hear me now?
Yes, please.
Okay. Hi. I just want to thank you for last night. That was pretty fantastic. I have something to show here of consequence. Maybe I froze a container yesterday. I created some plasma balls, alkaline and acidic, and well, to what you've taught us, I put them each in a container with a distance between them. I looked at the container now this morning. It's frozen, but the pocket between the two is not frozen, and you can see all the fields interacting. There's an open.
Would you like to show it to us?
Yeah, I'm just going to grab it from the fridge, and you can see it. It just astounded me.
Can you open give him the option to share a screen, please?
Yeah, he might be sharing the video there. Mhm.
Yeah,
He's gone to his fridge. A new drink.
I put it on share. I don't know what's happening here. Can you see me?
You got to share your camera. Can you promote him?
Share screen.
Are you trying to share a picture or a video, or are you trying to start your camera?
Just trying to show myself, I guess, here.
Okay, well, you don't want to share screen. You want to start the camera, start video. Should be on the bottom left of your Zoom window.
I'm hitting that. Nothing's happening.
Do you have a...
View settings. Okay, something's happening here. Can you see me?
Okay, what's happening there now, Bernard?
I'm reading this stuff here. I've got yeah, I can see myself here. Yeah. All right. I've got nothing on the screen here. Okay, hold on a second here.
Yep, you're coming in.
No, that's your desktop.
That's
and
your desktop.
The screen sharing, not the video. Can you turn that off, please? I will.
Turn it off. Okay. I'm
You
lost.
don't give much options.
No, I'm lost with this stuff.
Okay, then we'll have to practice later or something because you're taking up too much time right now. You can come into the Prakash Plasma Reactor group, or you can get a hold of us at any time, and we can practice in the Zoom separately and make sure you can handle the video.
Okay, let's go. Can you?
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. Thank you very much. Can you explain to us again what you done exactly in a very slow speed?
I created two alkaline balls. I mean, two balls are one acidic and one alkaline.
Yes.
And, I layered them. I used epoxy.
Can you speak into the microphone, please? We lost you.
Okay. Can you hear me now?
Yes, you're clear. Yeah.
Okay, each ball was layered contrary to each other as you taught us, and the center pins are different. Basically, I created the same kind of balls that, but in a solid state. I use epoxy, a resin, and each layer had dry gants. A different dry gants in each layer, contrary to each other. Well, this is what I've put in the water. I was thinking, if you put
No. We are still asleep from last night. We haven't woken up yet. You have to explain in more detail what you've done. You dried your GANs?
Yeah, I have different dried GANs, gold GANs, all the different GANs of CH3.
Yeah, okay, I understand.
And I use these GANSes.
And how did you mix them? You put them in a dry state with each other?
Yeah, well, they're all individually, and they were dry.
Yeah.
And each layer I would mix individually with the dry GANs when I mix the epoxy and the resin.
What do you mean by layer? You paint them over each other?
Yes, I did. I started with a brass pin in the center that was hollow. And I added a few drops of CH3 water, and a tiny bit of GANS with that, and a tiny bit of sugar in with the CH3.
Okay, and you let it to dry?
No, I sealed it with a bit of liquid in the center, and I put the epoxy around it so it would stay put. Then I began.
You mean the pin or the GANS?
The pin. I sealed the pin so everything stayed in the center in a liquid state with a layer of epoxy.
I am lost.
Okay.
Because I can't see it.
Well,
we'll put it this way. Go in the background and check how you can. Stanley, are you there?
Yes, I am.
Could you please in the background help him and then bring him back in again to get him started?
Okay, I will.
Thank you very much. Okay, we come back to you. Once Stanley gets you going, come back in straight because you are discussing something very interesting and we are all ready to learn from you.
Yeah, because the fields are very obvious, and the block of ice between the two pins didn't freeze. It's an open, shielded pocket. You can see there.
Yes, let's have a look at it. Good. Standing in the background helps you to be able to activate your camera and then come back in the next few minutes. We wait when you're ready.
Right.
Thank you very much. Thank you. Okay. Are there any other questions?
A comment from Gladstone, who's was wondering if it was a good time to talk about his amino acids and watch a video that he has about that. Do you want to have more topics on the generator here first?
Yeah, let's go carry on with the generators and we come back.
Okay. Okay, so if anyone who's a viewer has a question, you'll have to put your hand up so we can put a panelist in order for you to speak. If there's anyone in the panelists who would like to have a question or comment there, you can pretty much go ahead and announce who you are and ask your question. I'll look in the live stream as well.
In the questions, it says, from Patrick, please tell me when I make the plasma capacitors, the blueprint, do not sorry, I'm waiting for some correspondence which are coming in the background. I got distracted. Please tell me when I make the plasma capacitors. The blueprint do not specify if the aluminum in the capacitor has been nano-coated or not. No, it's not nano-coated. It's plain aluminum foil. And what we recommend to you, if you heard the teaching before, is to do not try to use aluminum and another material for your capacitors, because if you use a paper, it can, because of the high power, can burn the paper. So be very, very careful in how you organize your capacitors, because we have seen it in our system. The paper burns out and it creates a short circuit because the aluminum will touch the aluminum. So you better look into a different type of wrapping, like you can use aluminum and a copper sheet. Use aluminum and titanium and nano-coated and a gas-coated. You can use in that coating the powders of nanomaterials and the matter state themselves plus the GANs. The problem is to understand how liquid state is created in the nanomaterial that allows you to keep the separation of your gases and nanomaterials and matter state. In the matter state, we call it liquid, or we call it like water, which creates that separation. This happens in our body. We carry different gases and the molecules of oxygen creates a separation. The next step in understanding of making capacitors is this. You have to go a step further, and now that you start making capacitors with gel or with liquid GaNs, understand what it means, the gel. What does it mean? What does the liquid do in the body of the man? It creates a separation that different gases can find their position in respect to the others. That's why we have water. That's why we are made of 70–80% water. The only thing water does in our body is to create the gravitational magnetic field gap that the other elements can move freely in respect to each other. This is one thing that none of you have understood yet. I explained this 2 or 3 times in the past, especially in the teachings of the private teachings. If you understand this, then you can produce coating that behaves exactly like the body of the man. Why do we use gel? To create that separation. And when the gel dries, you lost it. Your capacitor burns out. Try to understand, you add materials with high gravity that are intermediary in between the elements you use as a coating or as a matter state. Because even in the matter state, you're dealing with the plasma. If you choose the right combination of the materials, you don't need lubrication. The material will create their own separation and they'll never burn out. This is what you have to extend the knowledge to. You don't need liquid. Understand the job of the liquid, for example, as I said, in the body of man. The only thing it does, it creates a specific gap that other plasmas, like a calcium and whatever, can operate under. So you can create the same condition between your capacitors and you'll have total insulation from each other. And none of you have gone that way. You put gel, you put all sorts of things for separation. But if you go back to the understanding of the plasma, it should be very easy to make plasmatic capacitors without any paper, without any lubricant, and you can keep the separation. Your layer of skin works that way. This is how your skin slides over your muscles. Look at the way, the thickness and the structure of the skin of the muscle. What is its job? That it allows a separation. This is what you need to learn. Look how the muscle has a skin, which the bone has a skin, and the interaction of these two allows the free movement, but the same transfer of energy across. You have to add to your knowledge the magnetic positioning in mass, or what we call in contained mass, which is like the liquid in your body. Then you don't have a worry what material is used. Can I use paper? Can I use aluminum? Is it nano-coated or not nano-coated? It will be very nice if you use a nano-coated aluminum as a foil, because then there is a guarantee of transfer of energy, but the guarantee of non-conductivity between the layer of aluminum and the copper. And none of you have explored this avenue. And so many times I thought, one day these guys will see what they're doing. Look, when you make the copper sheets, when you make a copper plate, when you make the wires, and you put a voltmeter and ohm meter on it, it says, look, it's super resistive. It's 1 whatever, kilowatt, megawatt, whatever. What does this mean to you? It's insulated. If you can do the same with another and create a gap breakdown of the energy from one to another, all you need to do is nano-coat the sheets of the capacitor, then introduce the GaNs on it, and then create a separation with it that you can slow down by adding like nanomaterials or powder of the matter state, and roll it like a cigarette. The separation is the insulation, and your nano layers you already proven to be insulators. But none of you go to it, none of you contemplate in developing it to have a fully plasmatic condition. Choose your pin, the gravitational magnetical, separate different materials, nano coat them, nano coat the sheets that are fully insulators, that are 100%, add the material you want to separate and the speed of the decrease or increase of the power, you will create total plasmatic capacitors. And you're still busy with paper and aluminum and can you use anything else? Yes. Go back to your basic knowledge. Nano-coated material are best insulators. Why do you put paper between the aluminum rolls? Why do you put a paper around the gravitational magnetic pins or windings, and then you put the paper and then the aluminum that doesn't touches the copper, nano-coated? Expand your knowledge and understand it. The problem is, as I said, monkey see, monkey does. But the monkey has to stop somewhere and understand what I do. Is it copying or am I the originator? What have I understood? I don't need to copy. Nano-coated capacitors, if you get it right, it's a very difficult process. If you don't get it right, then say it doesn't work. But if you understand it and you can set it up, you can understand the gradient and the turn and the condition of enforcement of the field, you can very easily work in totally plasmatic, what you call it, non-matter state, but all nano-coated state in the whole process. None of you has gone to use leaves, and I keep on saying, in Africa you don't have the factories. But if you understand how leaves operate, you have a nano-coated paper as a leaf, both sides nano-coated, you have the transfer of energy. If you can tap it to the stem, you have huge amount of energy, and it never dries up. Because the two layers, two sides of the leaf have learned how to create moisture in between. And that's what you got to do. And then you get a huge current flow. And then by change of the liquidity, you can change a capacitor to only absorb the energy of the orange, or energy of, what do you call it, apple, or energy of iron or copper. Look into the nature, you will see a lot of work done. We already spoke that the leaves is nanoplated on both sides, and the difference between the fields creates in between the gravitational magnetic field of the carbon, which attracts with it the amino acid for the nano layer to absorb the energy from the environment. Repeat the same thing in your capacitors. You already have done it in the CO2 box, but you never transferred the knowledge from putting the plate in the CO2 box, instead of putting the plates 10 centimeters apart from each other, one nano-coated, one non-nano-coated, and created the gap of the CO2 in between, and you absorb energy and moisture. That's the most natural way you should have gone, and nobody has. I've done it. It's so easy. If you get it right, you have one of the most powerful capacitors and adjust to what you need. Because if you go a step further and understand this, that how is the plants create moisture in between them, that is between the two nanoplate and non-nanoplate, or nano-coated but different strength, then you understand the leaf, because of its combination of fields, has a soul. And if your intention is the same as you put your amino acid in between the capacitor, you control change from gold to water. You want the capacitance to be in the circuit of aluminium or whatever you might need. These capacitors are the miniature version of the galaxies, but none of you have understood. You're still busy with the windings on top and everything else. The winding shows how much energy you want to take from where, from the center. Plates rolling between the capacitors creates a condition of control absorption. The two pins decide how much of which level you want to take. But no one has been. You're all happy if it's a right turn, if it's a left turn. Can I use paper? Can I use aluminium? And if you go further into the space understanding, the two balls which you put against each other is the same as the two leaves. Now you create a specific position for the change of fields, and you can produce any material you like. I hope some of you understood what I explained. Otherwise, in the future, we'll come back to it again and again. Yes? Okay, no problem. Do you want us to go for a coffee break? Okay, we stop for a few minutes and not to lose the live stream. Set up a general report. We found that.
Okay, we're good. Thank you very much.
Yes. Okay, if there are any other questions, can you please ask?
There was one question, Mr. Kesh, in the live stream about, back to it here. They were asking about, I can't find the exact question, but they were asking about the word Tesla came up several times in the description and in the talk yesterday about, you know, in Washington and so on. And they were wondering what's the relationship, what's the connection with Tesla as far as this technology goes? What part of this relates to Tesla?
Yes, just tell me. I have to respond to the meeting of last night. Just 1 second, just a message came in. I have to respond.
Rick, maybe now is a chance to help Bernard. Bernard, are you there?
Yes, I'm here. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
I was able to turn the volume up on my system. Am I coming in clear?
Yeah, you're coming in clear.
Okay.
Can you tell me on your Zoom, do you see the start video button?
The what?
On Zoom, where you see this blueprint, there should be a toolbar with the buttons mute, start video, participants. Do you see that?
Yeah, I've got all that bar in front of me there. It's got clear screen green and it says start video. Yes.
Okay, when you click next to the start video, you should get the list of webcams. Do you get that?
Next to the start video, I've got video settings here.
You got just video settings.
Yeah, that's what it shows here.
That means your computer has no camera installed.
It's got a camera. It's a brand new Mac.
Okay, but obviously this camera is not visible.
I think, are you clicking on the little tiny arrow beside the start video? That's what he's talking about, not the...
Yes, I am. I clicked on that little arrow. I was talking the other night with you, Rick, and I didn't touch anything since then, and I showed up, you know.
Maybe you better switch off and switch on your system.
Exactly what I was going to
This
suggest.
is
Thank you,
usually a
Mr.
problem with Mac. I have that problem. Sometimes it doesn't configure.
Also,
Just
maybe,
go out and come back in and we'll take you on and we'll see we test.
all right. Okay, thanks.
Okay, thank you very much. It says question from Chinese Zhejiang. He asked how to use the electricity supply from the wall to trigger the system. Which aspects should be paid attention to? You have to go to the point from the wall that you create the gravitational plasmatic field forces which can trigger the plasma. This is because you use copper matter state is 50 to 60 hertz because it's a position where the energy of the plasma can penetrate matter plasma. There's a gap between the structure that allows it. And on the other hand, you have a flow strong enough with a difference in potential in the negativity that allows the pull of the fields of the plasma to flow, trying to feed, that it generates the rotation of the plasma. You got to understand, well, what is the potential difference? Potential difference is the minimum and the maximum between the field flow. The height. This is your voltage. If you understood this, and you can create even coils which has got different material. One of the problem with our system, or the way it's set up, is you have monoatomic structure, so you have to work with that frame. It's harder to trigger. If you create capacitors, coils of aluminum and copper, you'll find out the lower limit triggers in first and pushes the other one to it. You'll work with much faster system. You need the less power. You're still on the 60 hertz, but the plasma triggers itself. And then the flow of the current of the plasma, when is superconductor, it just drains so much that it feeds the lower to the higher, and the higher triggers to feed the lower, and the system gets going. Try composite coils, you'll find a lot more success. Or try composite GaNs layering. When you make your coils, aluminum with nano-coated copper, with ganses of matters in between the two. You create that potential difference, and then you can work much easier. This is what you need to do. If you pay attention to understanding and working totally in respect to plasma, and separate the two, and understand what the matter state, what nano state, what gas state gives you, and what the plasma state gives you, you become artisans of plasma. And then you can make all sorts of things. Very simple. This coil system we see, if you become and understand the process, you can make it in less than a small 2-inch by 2-inch system. The whole thing, with the pump, with everything else included, that you get a function of the supply. And you can even miniaturize it to 2 or 3 millimeters. It's the understanding which gives you the strength, and depends how far deeper you want to go. As I said before many times, is understanding what the structure is and what you can do with it, and how you can play with it. Always go back to the game between the Russians and Americans. Early 50s, Americans sent a matchbox to the Russians, and they waited. After a while, Russians sent the matchbox back. The Americans said, scientists to the Russians, you did not see there was a wire. We have managed to extend the knowledge that we can create a wire that you could not even see it. The Russians responded, look inside the wire. It's already centralized hollow. We have made a hole through it. Not only we found the wire, Our advanced technology is so much that we can even drill a hole in the wire you thought it cannot be seen. That was the power of the laser beam, the way the Russians were so ahead at that time. But the only question